Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Schickman and I'm the managing partner of Lingia Law. Lingia Law is a law firm focused on the healthcare industry. I started this firm in 2019 to really help people start healthcare businesses, grow their healthcare business, sell their healthcare business if they'd like to, and a lot of our clients are really starting the business for the first time, and we're there to help them every step of the way. We're a women-owned law firm. Many of our attorneys are women, and many of our clients are women. We love helping small businesses. It's really awesome to see some of our clients grow from a one-room practice to a 10-location business across multiple states. We've had clients grow from under $100,000 in revenue a year to over $10 million in revenue a year. It's been a really exciting journey, and I really feel like our clients are just getting started, and this industry is a really exciting one to be part of, and I'm really thankful for my team and all of our clients, and it's our pleasure to be able to help. So this video is going to go over all those questions about patient consent forms. In the US, for a patient to get a medical treatment, they have to be able to understand their options in terms of alternative treatments, the possible side effects of this medical treatment, and what the possible expectations should be from this medical treatment. They should have the right to say no to the treatment, and they should be educated before they make a decision. It shouldn't be done under duress, it shouldn't be done with a lack of information, and the consent should be understood by the patient. It shouldn't be so complicated that the patient can say, well, I didn't understand what I was signing. So the consent form that you have a patient sign is really important. The consent form will be one of the first things a malpractice lawyer asks for if you ever get sued for malpractice. So if you don't have a signed consent form with your patient for that particular treatment, that will right away become a big problem. What should go into a consent form? A consent form should explain the risks and the possible benefits of the treatment, the possible side effects, the pre and post treatment instructions, those are important as well. You could put your financial policy into the consent so the patient can understand, do you have a refunds policy, how that would work, when payment is expected, whether a series of treatments is recommended or whether the patient should expect that after one treatment they'll have great results. You could put a consent for you to take photos of the patient to be stored in your medical records or to be used for training purposes. All these different things can go in the form. And the form should be treatment specific. So it shouldn't just be patient comes to your practice and you have them sign one paper and then that paper is the consent for everything possible they can do. A patient can then say, well, I didn't understand this consent. I didn't understand that I was going to get neuromodulators, fillers, platelet-rich plasma, lasers. You want to have separate consents for all these things. The other point about consents is how often should they get signed? For example, let's say you have a new patient, they come to you in January and they purchase a series of microneedling treatments. Should they sign a new consent each time? The answer is yes. The reason for that is people's medical history may change. People's desires may change, right? They may be comfortable with possible bruising in January, but they may not be comfortable with possible bruising in March because let's say their wedding is coming up. And if they're not reminded that that's a possible side effect of the treatment, you may have a big problem on your hands that you could have totally avoided if you just had them re-sign a consent. So we always recommend to have a consent signed each time a patient gets treated and if their medical history changes in any way. Should the consent be in your electronic medical record or are paper consents okay? Paper consents are okay in most states. However, they're much easier to lose and they're much less secure. So we recommend storing all of your consents in your electronic medical record. And there are many alternatives for which electronic medical record you can use. So your consents should be stored there, and then make sure that your consents are in the language that the patient understands. One of the lines in your consent could be something like, I, patient, read, write, understand English, and fully understand this consent. But if that's not true for this patient, and if you know for a fact that they're a let's say, Spanish speaker and they do not understand English and you have them sign this consent, they can argue that they did not understand your consent. So really important to have it specify and be in the language that the patient understands. Another thing with consent is, let's say somebody signed a consent a year ago for a treatment and something changed about the treatment. Let's say you found out that this treatment could also cause constipation and you didn't know that before, or that wasn't known about that treatment. That happens all the time with newer treatments. And so always make sure to update your consents as you learn of new possible side effects. And your attorney team could usually point you in the right direction there, where they would send you an update and they would say, hey, we learned that there's this new side effect of this treatment, you should update your consents. So really important to keep your consents updated, to make them procedure specific, and to have your patients sign them each time they get a treatment, not just once a year or when they buy a treatment package. Because like I said, people tend to forget about some of the possible side effects, people's health history changes, and you always want to have a current consent. So what should you do if you have a patient who comes in and they refuse to sign your consent? Or let's say they refuse to have their picture taken and stored in your electronic medical record. My advice there is you could kindly tell the patient that perhaps your practice is not a good fit for them. I wouldn't make exceptions to your consent and pictures rules, because that's a lot of liability for you, because then the patient could always say they didn't understand, they didn't know. And it's really important for people to agree to follow your procedures if they're going to do business with you. They have many choices and you have many choices. So it's really important to do that and make sure that if someone doesn't want to follow your policies, that's totally okay for them. They can just go somewhere else and then they can have a discussion with that provider about their policies. For more information on anything we talked about on this video, you could always contact us at www.langialaw.com or team@langialaw.com. We're also on Instagram and Facebook. You could find us under Langia Law, and we do offer free 15-minute consultations that you can schedule on our website. And there's no question that's too small or too big for us. Feel free to reach out and we'll try to help you the best way that we can. Thank you so much.